Okay, this e-training video has been created for the Sam Houston State University Agricultural Sciences and Engineering Technology Department. This is specifically a request on how to organize and why to organize your courses in Blackboard. My name is Rachel Baxter. I am your friendly instructional design specialist for the ASIC department here. We will start off simply by doing the background and going through and discussing the whys. So for those of you who are unable to attend the face-to-face training, you can watch this video and follow along and do the same thing. And as always, if you need help, come see me, send me an email, and we'll do everything we can to help you. All right, so to start with, e-learning. What is it and why is it important? Why do we follow it? Every educational department that you're going to go to work for, even the small to A public schools, are going to have some kind of LMS, learning management system, that they use for e-learning. E-learning is what things are slowly evolving to. The reason for e-learning is because it applies and it allows for the greatest flexibility for students. So it has everything broken down in a linear fashion so the students can follow it, but they can also follow it and do as they need to do. They no longer have to worry about automatically being called on the class, because there are some students that shut down. We've had those. I used to jokingly refer to those as my turtlers, because they would hide and try to avoid. There's different things that are in there. It allows the students to interact socially as they're used to. And I personally always liked to make them socially interact in the classroom and also virtually online, where they have to do different correspondence back and forth. So they learn how to do those different tools. What this does is it gives them the ability to do it when they can at their own time and to go get the material they need. Because we're living in a society now that is used to being able to go get what they need. Just think about it. How many times have you wanted to go get something and you go to the website and it's not there, and you know, why is it not there? It should be on my demand. It should be where I need it. So it's kind of a consumer, I guess, thought process society. And this is a way that we can best meet the needs of our consumers, our students. So e-learning is very viable. And if you want to learn more, there's more studies that you can learn and go through. So let's just go into the why. Number one, it's organization, navigation, and communication. Those are your three things that you've got to make sure you do. These will either make or break your class. The number one poor cause for course elevation on the idea surveys is when students simply did not know how the course was organized and how it flowed, how to navigate and get through it, and that the students weren't present, that they're not responding. If they post a question, if they send an email, there's no monitoring and response being going on by the professors. Professors are thinking they're just placing it out there and it's done. So you've got to make sure that it's organized and easy to follow, your navigation makes sense, and that you're communicating and that you have a presence in your course. That's the reason why in my example video here, you see a picture of me. Students need to know who you are. You do not have to worry about your lipstick and what the background sometimes matters to us doesn't necessarily matter to them. And if you feel like you're one of those people that when you're making these videos and they can't see your face well enough, go and get you a nice little lamp like at the dollar store and have that lamp glowing on you, and you can do it there. If you still feel this is not high quality enough, just recording it on your computer screen, that's okay. Talk to me. We can schedule and have you done professionally. All right? So don't let this be something that scares you off. All right. Looking at these two, which one do you feel is better? The one to your right or the one to the left here on the screen? Now you'll notice the one that has my sandbox, and you'll notice there is a lot more to it. The pane is skinnier, and this is because students have to scroll through it to get to it. Whereas the option on the right is a more concise and straight to the point. It's still broken out into those different navigation areas, but it's easier for the student to read. Oh, wow, cancel. I love it when it does interesting things like that. So this way you can see and you know what it is. So you kind of think, this is a student, when you go to a website and you have to scroll and find things, you often will miss what's at the bottom, correct? So put your most important stuff at the top, and then as you go down, we get to there, and try to keep it organized into simpler sections. One of the rules, as we'll go over it later, is never have more than 8 in a section. So you would never have more than 8 here. Notice how they don't get to never have more than 8. That gets to just to be too much. So if you can keep it under 8, you're going to be better. All right, always have a start here. I know it sounds corny and silly because us in academia, we've been in education for a long time. We've gone through schooling, we've gone through college. Most of us have our bachelor's, master's, and many of you have your PhD. I don't have mine yet, working on that. But you go through, and we know automatically, hey, we're going to go look at the syllabus. We're going to go find this. Not all students know this. You may be teaching a freshman level course and they don't understand that. Heck, you may be teaching a senior level course and they've never done anything in the e-learning environment and they're not sure where to go start. So your start here is for that. And inside that start area section, you're going to place things and links that are important to your course, your syllabus, your welcome letter, videos, explanations, anything that you find that's important that you want them to know about your course goes in the start here. You also in that start here want to have like that go next. This is your escape route. This is where you go next. And we'll discuss this later. But you always want to kind of guide them. You're going to give them a specific path that you want them to follow. Because the more specific you are and you explain it to them, the more successful day you will be in your course. Here are some example start pages. These are just examples. You can use them for whatever you prefer. I like to use that little start icon because I'm visually graphic, and most of the students that you're going to be dealing with, a lot of them are very visual. A lot of them are also very kinesthetic, and I know it seems kind of intuitive to have a kinesthetic student in an online e-learning course, but when they're going in and they're doing things and they're being active and you have them create things, you're still meeting those kinesthetic needs, okay? You're meeting your reading student, your visual needs, because they can see it. If you have your auditory student, when you create the videos, you're creating their auditory needs. So you have all these different needs that are being met, and sometimes you don't realize that you're meeting them. Now, here's an example. Start here, an explanation. There's an intro video that explains and intros the course. There's a welcome letter. And at the bottom here, there's a link. And I know it's kind of hard to see because it's kind of small. But this is that like escape route. This is that escape clause where they need to go to next. So I'm making it as simple and straightforward for the students as I can. Here's another example. Same thing. You could put a video here if you wanted to or not. Or you can just explain things. And then you have your link that jumps straight to the next learning unit so they know what to do. So there's your escape route. Here's another example. Sometimes when I'll make a video, and I wanted you to see this specifically, they may be on a computer and let's say their JavaScript is not updated or they're dealing with an older computer. Sometimes it's good to give them options. So here's one that is where it's placed with the Kaltura video, and it was created with Kaltura. And it was also then taken and uploaded to YouTube, and the YouTube was embedded into it along with a link. So if some reason they can't play it and view it, but if they have that link to YouTube that's right next to it, they can click on it and go to that. The Kaltura is great if you're concerned about people getting access to your lessons and everything is kept and it's complete. And it's encapsulated inside of the Blackboard, so only your students in your course and that you've shared this video board can see it. But if it's something you don't care, that's where it goes to the YouTube. And most of what I do, I post on YouTube because honestly, I don't care. I want it there to help people. But you need to do what's best for your courses and you. And again, you scroll through, there's a welcome letter, there's a description given to it, etc. And at the bottom, there's a little escape to get to. You need to think about your own roadmap and following what works best for you, because not every order is going to work for everybody the exact same way. So you need to look at your syllabus, your course outline, and you need to follow how you've already stated it. Because if you've taken the time to do that syllabus, you already have an idea of how you want your course to go. And this is how we're going to organize your class. We want to organize it so that it matches your syllabus and your course outline. Here's an example of one again, and I've given this to you. Go through it, mark through it. What do you like? Course communication, I advise you always have these sections, these chunks, and what you want to decide is what do you want to place in there. Notifications is like your announcement, how to get in touch with you, my virtual office, my grades. Let's face it, even though it's down at the bottom, they still want it there. Emails, go through it and figure out what do you like, what do you not like, and how do you want to customize it, how do you want to be. Again, this is the template that I've already created for those of you that want it, that I can just go put into your course for you, and then you can go back and customize. If you don't, we can always start from scratch. That doesn't matter. And then your chunks. Always think about how you're going to chunk. So it's going to be based upon that syllabus. Do you have your syllabus already chunked out into weeks? Do you have it chunked out into lessons? Do you have it chunked out into units? Do you call them learning modules? Whatever verbiage you're using, we want to keep to that here. And you would just change it to match yours. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Cannot stress this enough. Make sure you use the same description and verbiage throughout. If you call it a quiz in your syllabus, call it a quiz in your presentations, call it a quiz in your videos, call it a quiz in your course organization. Make sure they have all the same stuff. And then whatever you break it into chunks, like if you call them into units, make sure you're calling them units. Don't leave them as like a learning module. Don't call them this chunk. Call it whatever you call it in your syllabus. Here's an example here. I see how it is very specific. It is the same file. It's the same repetition. It is consistent. It's the same chunk. It's got the same thing. It's got the dates, and it's got the explanation years, and all there. You want to make sure you keep and follow that style. Mini lesson plans. I know this sounds a little weird for many of us, but you need to have mini lesson plans at the start of your chunks, your lessons, your learning module, your week, your unit, whatever you're calling it. And it just needs to be something like this that tells, what's the time frame, and let's say if it was a unit, it would be unit 1, and let's say it's November 24th to December 1st. So I've got the date, and what is it we're doing? My objective, what is it the students are going to be doing? The student will be, place that there. Any requirements, any research, any prior knowledge they need to have, and then what's the specific assignment. And it's just a simple, quick blurb. You do not have to use this format. Use whatever works for you. Just providing this as an example. All right, click here. I know it sounds a little weird, and we think that the students intuitively know what to do because they're all digital learners, right? And they all know what to do when it comes to technology. Not necessarily true. These are your mechanical instructions. This is specifically you telling them, click here, go here. Quotation marks around the specific word that they're looking for. I try to always do that when I create a lesson. And when it's an actual literal word, I put the quotation mark around it so they can see it, okay? And I'm showing this to them. If you've got a 100% pure online course, you really need to make that first intro video that shows the students how to do this. And this is why those video instructions are so important. You're showing them how to navigate, how to get through things. So it really is important. Now, that exit route I was talking about, where do I go? Here's your escape plan. So I'm guiding them to the next thing. When I complete a unit, a lesson, a week, whatever, I'm going to make sure at the end, I'm guiding them through and I'm telling them where to go. So I'm going to keep, I know this sounds horrible. This is a country background showing, you know, we have the chutes and stalls set up the room we're putting the cattle through, or the deer, or whatever it is you're horsing, and you want them to go one way. It's the same thing. We want them to go from point A to point B. So we want them to start off in this one corral, go through, do what they need to do, learn, and go to the next corral, and then go to the next stage. I know it sounds a horrible correlation, but that's the best one I can think for it. An escape route, again, just a link to the next thing. This is a simple link that's been added that takes you to the learning units, and that's what this particular professor called it. It could be your learning units, it can just be units, it can be my learning modules, it's week ones, weekly unit, whatever you're going to call it, you call it. Tools and website links at the bottom. This is a good advice to get into the habit of doing. If there are any specific tools you know that you're going to refer to often, go ahead and embed those in your navigation menu. Or if you know there's any website links you know you're going to go to quite often, embed them towards the bottom. So like an example I have here, if you refer to the Department of Labor often, you would want to link this at the bottom of your page. The students don't have to always constantly go digging for it. So if you have a specific agricultural club that you want the students to go to, engineering club, you can have that link embedded in the website so that they can easily reference to it. And here's just a simple example. In the example that I created for the template, I simply put the Sam Houston website, and then I also put specifically the Ag Science Engineering Technology website. And it's just an example. You don't have to use those if you don't want. You can place in whatever you feel is important. Maybe it's Collegiate FFA, I don't know. But place in the names. Maybe it's the construction management course. Maybe again it's that OSHA. Whatever is important to you, you can create those links here so the students don't have to go digging for them. They're given to them right there. All right. This explanation of why you need to go through the process of organizing your course. Next, we get into the actual more hands-on, where we get to actually do things, and we go through the process, and I'll show you how to start organizing it.